Right, hey guys, how are we doing? We're back on another video from Totally Not Mark. We're carrying on with his One Piece reviews. We're on the Water 7 arc and I loved it. I have actually got quite a bit ahead now, and I'm going to be reacting to one of these every Monday and then discussing like beforehand on a Sunday live stream. I live stream every Sunday and then I'm reacting to a One Piece reaction every Monday. Water 7, amazing. Eni's Lobby, better. But Water 7 arc is sick. Let's see what Totally Not Mark has to say. Shall we?
Within the scope of One Piece, I think Water 7 is...
Franky, man, is so sick.
My journey through the extensive catalogue of arcs and sagas that make
the whole leading up to the blueprints and that, yeah, it's like,
by engaging, lovable characters,
they are class.
Taken on long and complex stories.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to be great, but I could have never predicted what was going to happen in this arc, and the emotional, character-driven story.
Nico Robin with CP9. Oh, mate.
Specifically for Shonen Jump to show its reader base. I had no idea things were going to develop like this, but boy, am I happy that they did.
Yeah.
So much to say about it and praise it for.
Oof.
Explore the
Franky.
exuberant, the enchanting, and the excruciating arc that left me in an emotional tizzy with my jaw.
Emotional tizzy.
I'm Totally Not Mark, and these are my first impressions of, thoughts on, and review for the most unexpected arc in One Piece's story for me, and one of, if not, my favorite installment so far. This is the One Piece Masterclass, Water 7.
Or the merry-go-man. But that was Eni's Lobby, isn't it? The actual proper emotional hitter. Isn't it? I'm pretty sure it is.
World building is a term that I've thrown around a lot since I started covering.
Well, it does a hell of a lot of it.
Repeats the same term again and again.
You go into it, you talk about One Piece.
One of my favorite aspects of Dragon Ball was the incorporation of Snake Way and the afterlife for Goku to explore. It not only added a much-needed sense of levity to the circumstances of that story at the time, but it also provided further insight to mechanics and lore that would be called upon as it continued.
Later, yeah.
And that's sort of what world building is in a nutshell. In One Piece, it's so painfully obvious that Oda adores this world that he's
he knows everything's happened, the history and everything.
Imagination can see fitting in there. And this isn't
as soon as a name drops, at times you're just like,
the impression that this is a real, breathing world with real technology,
as over the top as it is. Ooh, he's a bad man.
In an effort to create believable, real characters for us to enjoy within this world. And let me tell you, these characters in this arc felt gut-wrenchingly real.
Yes, Franky was so cool when you find out who he actually is, and I can't remember his name. Tom, was it? I want to say Tom. Oh no, it was Tom the guy that made Roger's ship. I'm terrible with names.
At the very beginning, which changes as the story evolves, and the separate storylines that establish themselves early on, independent of each other, start to intertwine until they clash in what I can only describe as the single most compelling set of chapters I've ever in my life read through. But
the Usopp Luffy fight happens in this bit, doesn't it?
I want to impress upon you the importance of what Oda did to establish this arc in the first place, because it's brilliant. Two major points of contention within the arc come from one single piece of information and goal that's established and built upon at the very beginning. They need a shipwright because the Merry-Go is struggling with damages. From this single piece of info, we understand that this arc will center around the recruitment of a new crewmate.
Yes, whenever they mention it, it's like, okay, we're gonna get it.
With which Oda weaves this tale is not only compelling, but stupidly effective. So, let's take a look. The goal, as I mentioned before, is established early on, and even before they hit land on Water 7, we are introduced to this drunk old woman that is quite literally what nightmares would look like if they took you.
She becomes part of the story. It's like, I love it.
We see some really interesting technology.
The trade.
Of a seafaring train too. But once again, this is far from the last bit of new tech we see, and when it comes to world building, once we arrive on Water 7, Oda opens the floodgates.
Whoa, do you see what he did there? Water 7, floodgates, whoa.
Inspired by Venice, but with clear and obvious Oda twists on the theme, with its wildlife.
It reminded me of Venice.
How it implements and makes use of its abundant supply of water, fashioning waterways and even
so cool.
systems, which is all explained to us among
like a
many
canal.
things. Because much like Skypia with its dial technology informing the culture that it's built upon, Water 7's architecture and culture is of course built around the fact that it has so much water.
Yeah.
There's an infectious attention to detail here that makes me just want to leap onto the page and explore these worlds for myself.
It'd be so cool, wouldn't it? Yeah.
To talk to these inhabitants. And that's not only the sign of a great writer, but it's also the sign of a writer who loves the world that he's created.
Yeah.
So much so that I'm certain no one loves this world more than
Oda, yeah.
It shows. But part of what made this one so exciting and interesting to watch was that right from the get-go, as they arrive on Water 7, the gang split up into 4 separate groups.
So you got 4 different things going on, yeah.
Travel to the shipbuilding area to suss out the situation regarding repairs, and with their top priority being that they need a new shipwright too. We also are looking for that. Chopper and Robin are out seeing the area, Sanji is shopping for groceries, and Zoro is guarding the ship.
Zoro's guarding the ship. Yeah, that's sick, that.
Just yet. Luffy even meets the town's famous shipwrights, who are pretty big celebrities in the town, and there's this really cool character wearing a hat that has the weirdest nose I've ever seen.
He was sick.
Somehow the coolest character design too. Needless to say, things are going to
like, how did he pull that off? He looked amazing, and then when the reveal as well, it was still cool.
Conflict from the most unlikely of places in this arc. As this cool shipwright Assassin's Creed's his way across the city.
He does, he just jumps, he's like, bye, see you later.
Needing to defend the ship from some evil looters called the Franky family, which he does so with ease. But
of course,
the only bit
Zoro.
of conflict here. This strange masked someone walks by Robin, whispers something into her ear, and she starts to walk away with it, losing Chopper in the crowd. And it's these chapters that offer setup to later events.
It mentions CP9, doesn't it? She's like, oh, whoa, okay.
One aspect that stuck out to me was a particular chapter that covered Sanji's set of affairs. In it, we see the shipwright Altairing and parkouring his way across the rooftops to see the merry go, and we also see Robin being guided away. This is all from Sanji's point of view,
yeah.
And we don't really ever see that in manga. This felt so great to me, as it makes the city of Water 7 feel like a real place with all of these
a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
Rather than a series of separate scenes where characters act within. It's a subtle inclusion, but it made the world feel that much more immersive.
I agree with that. That's cool, yeah, seeing everything from a different perspective, yeah.
Set a series of things in motion. The Robin story thread and the Merry Go story thread. But perhaps the most interesting plot thread, the Usopp story. Before Luffy, Usopp, and Nami fractured away from the main something Oda made sure to express throughout his time writing the stories of Alabasta's saga, Skypia's saga, and even this saga has been how much love and care Usopp gives to
the merry-go.
He's always the one repairing it, despite not really knowing
how to. Yeah.
He often makes mention of how much the ship itself means to him. It was a gift from someone.
I was gonna say, wasn't it gifted from the girl that the island came from? Yeah.
That's where his passions lie, and how the next section is paced is honestly brilliant. Having already been foreshadowed prior with Zoro, the Franky family, in an effort to steal the money the Straw Hats have in their possession and fully intend on spending on repairs, nab Usopp and the cases he was carrying. As Nami and Luffy wonder where he's vanished off.
Actually, he feels bad afterwards because he's like, it's because we couldn't afford it.
Reappears to give his analysis on the state of their ship, and it's fundamentally beyond repair.
Yeah.
It's completely unsalvageable, apparently, and
the bottom bit in it.
Questioning and thinking of alternatives. Eventually, he's forced to come to the conclusion that he needs to
Merry-go needs to go. Merry
away. Is missing, only to find him beaten and bloody
his nose.
The street. He panically confesses that they took all the money and that he tried to stop them but couldn't because he was too weak. He resents his efforts because, to him, he now believes that he might have just destroyed their chances.
Yeah, like, because they ain't got the money, they can't fix it, is what he thinks, yeah.
That the ship is regrettably beyond repairs. Nami leaves him against the wall before bounding towards Luffy to inform him of what happened. As Luffy gathers the crew, fills them in on the situation and the plan of action, Usopp once again staggers and makes his way back to the gang's lookout. And
I guess Franky's house to the
to within an inch of his life. And as the Straw Hats walk up towards the building, they once again find Usopp.
And the panel in the manga when they're all just stood there about to go pick, like,
I need Luffy to bring balance to the world right now,
yeah.
or I'm going to explode. And boy, does he do just that. And along with the
that panel in the manga is sick. Sick. Follow me on Twitter, because when I have moments like that, I'm taking pictures and I'm like, yo!
This particular scene had a lot in common for me with Nami's moment from Arlong Park. Luffy avenging a crew member and friend. And this one is incredibly
that was good, but the paneling in the manga just looks like,
a certain piece of news that won't go over well with Usopp. This next section of the story is without an ounce of sarcasm, jest, or hyperbole, perfect to me.
Yeah.
Motivating factors, the character, the dialogue. Oh, the dialogue! And not to mention the physical conflict.
Usopp just refuses, doesn't he?
Made me feel a way I don't think I've ever felt while consuming manga or anime. At this point in the story, with the Franky gang having been dealt with, despite not retrieving the money, Luffy is satisfied with how things went and is ready to move on with things, but Usopp is the only one unaware of the Merry-Go's current state. And this uncomfortable tension hanging in the air.
It's like, who's going to tell him?
Why Luffy is
who's going to tell him?
set on going with a new ship. At this point in the conflict, I was incredibly nervous. I had mentioned during my Alabasta arc video that the one aspect I really didn't like about it was the conversation Koza has with the king. That conversation to me felt stilted, unnatural, and contrived because instead of speaking like real people with specific
it was like
specific
roundabout.
ideas with specific responses, they delivered vague response after vague response, all because the story needed for these two to have the wrong idea of each other in order for the story to work.
But
this is something that's in almost every single TV show, movie, or whatever. I honestly hate it, but that's not what happens in this scene.
No.
Instead, the conversation that takes place felt more real than some of the conversations I hear.
But they don't want to initially tell him.
It felt so raw. In this scene, there's very little action. Really, it's wall-to-wall dialogue, and it had me gripped with every single page turn. And that's how you know these characters work. This scene didn't have to make up a forced reason for them to fight like Zoro and Luffy did in Whiskey Peak.
Yeah, that was a bit, that was weird. This did not seem out of nowhere.
Tension like the king had with Koza in Alabasta. These two characters spoke and acted like real people. They explained themselves, and their characters informed the conclusions they came to and the actions they took in response to those conclusions. This is the best character writing I've ever seen in manga. It's pretty much perfect. It feels like a real argument between real people because
real friends.
we know all the same information the characters do. We understand the characters immediately and know that they are acting like we would expect them to if this was taking place in the real world.
Yeah, this felt real. Everything's real, man.
Completely loses it, almost verbalizing something.
Oh, he nearly does go out, and he's just like, yeah, Sanji has to kick in, or...
Afterwards felt even more real. Conversations like this happen in real life.
They do. Sometimes people have to get involved. Like, whoa, you're about to say stuff you're going to regret, man. Calm down.
Now, disillusioned and feeling alienated by Luffy, Usopp challenges Luffy to a fight, the winner of which gets the ship.
And it's great.
The relationship between the two has been ruptured. This is intensely interesting now. And what follows is equally as good, continuing the tension of the prior, only this time focusing on the action and strategy surrounding Usopp fighting Luffy. And once again,
Oh my god, he does such a good job.
my favorite fight in the entire series.
I mean, he had no chance from the beginning, but it was sick.
Popular opinion, I swear to God, I'm gonna lose faith in humanity. I've never been so invested, conflict, and uncertain how a fight was going to end. And I don't just mean the physical fight. This is a battle of prides.
Thing is, I thought Luffy had it from the beginning, and then as soon as Usopp was doing little bits, I was like, oh, whoa.
The Merry-Go is as much a crewmate as the rest of them.
Yeah.
To Usopp, it holds even more sentimental value due to where it came from, and now it feels as though Luffy is completely turning his back.
He's just taking it away, yeah.
To Usopp, Luffy is completely in the wrong here. But on the flip side, Luffy is faced with an incredibly difficult decision too. He doesn't want to lose the Merry-Go either, but he has to be responsible for the lives of his crew. Both characters are in very difficult circumstances with very difficult things to talk about, and it's situations like this that make for the best scenes. And the circumstances that ensue during this battle are fantastic. Uncharacteristically unafraid and defiant, Usopp takes advantage of the deep understanding he has of Luffy.
Yeah, he knows how he fights, and he knows what he's going to do. Sick. It's like, whoa.
Including many twists and turns, taking even me as a reader off guard, juxtaposing how terrible he looked right after the attack by the Franky.
The dials, yeah.
How confident and sure of himself he is in this instance. However, as the fight pushes forward and further on, Usopp begins to wane, and that's when it starts to get hard to watch.
Yeah, Luffy just starts wailing on him.
We're crying. Luffy deals the finishing blow to Usopp and walks away, declaring that he can have the ship if he wants it. It's tragically sad.
It is very sad.
He's been up until this point steadfast in his orders and decisions, but for a split second, in a moment he's trying to keep private, pushing his hat over his face.
Keep going, Luffy. Walk away. Yeah.
And he just can't afford to be unsure if he's the captain. Echoed in a quote from Zoro that is perfectly in character for him to say, "If you waver, who can we trust?"
Yeah.
What an amazing sequence. The psychology at play here is what made these characters work so incredibly well for me. The comparatively small altercation between a captain and his crewmate, more than any other anime for me, has explored in surprising detail what it means to be a leader and what the cost of leadership sometimes needs to be.
Yeah, man. Sacrifice. Sometimes sacrifices need to be made.
Is informed by their characters also. This isn't just the Usopp and Luffy episodes. It's about everyone else too.
Yeah, everyone's involved. Jesus Christ.
Helping Usopp after the battle. Sanji recognizes a fault in what Luffy was about to do and say, and
Yep, and beats him up. Yep.
hold on to regret like he had to with Zeph, and so put an end to it as soon as he saw where it was going. Nami in this scene wants everything to return to normal. To her, she's losing her only family and only sense of stability she's ever really had.
Yeah.
And she's struggling with it. recognizes that this is something that needs to happen also. Every single thing in this scene is believable, tragic, and more important than anything else, it's important to realize that it achieves this intense scene because everything in it makes sense. And before I move on, one thing I haven't ever really mentioned yet about the manga that I absolutely love is that at the beginning of each volume, it lists the name of characters and factions contained within each installment. And for the first time since he joined the crew, Usopp is listed on his own outside of the Straw Hats crew. I'm not gonna lie, this broke my heart. But it's a really nice little detail.
It is nice little details. Like, there's so much good stuff in the manga.
Not to mention reinforcing the consequences of
I'll still say, like, the cover pages with the individual stories of them are awesome.
The mansion heist. I think some
The mansion test?
always make sure I'm
There's a spelling mistake there.
like Usopp and now Robin in this instance as both a motivating force for the characters and as an incentive for me, the reader, to keep
Mate,
on reading.
this is so like what's going on.
Realize this Straw Hat crew really is. If two of them having an argument can yield such a visceral reaction from me, I was very eager to see what they did with Nico Robin.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't disappointed.
Not
I
at all.
glanced over this earlier, but while at the shipyard, Luffy and Nami pass on the letter to Mr. Iceberg.
Iceberg, that's the one.
Apparently, he's the mayor of the town and seems like a likable stand-up dude. Well, I didn't know it then, but even here they were setting up groundwork for a major plot point.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Even the frog. You've not mentioned the frog.
Nico Robin and my feelings towards her being that of mistrust.
One Piece makes really good use of animals.
She felt very removed from the group.
The whale, the snake, the frog.
Masked figure came out of the shadows to lure her away. I suspected immediately, naturally, that something was up, but I had no idea she'd turn out to be an official member of a secret group.
That was like, what?
With retrieving something of vital importance.
And then you find out who they are as well. It's like, oh, okay, ooh.
But the thing is, we don't actually see any of this, and how it's all revealed felt so much more like a mystery thriller to me that I actually loved it.
Yeah.
All the while Usopp and Luffy were duking it out, CP9 and the rest of them had infiltrated and made an attempt on Mr. Iceberg's life.
Oof.
As Luffy and the gang
But
wake up from their night sleep in the inn,
they didn't kill him on purpose.
conflict. Their first conflict comes from the
Franky.
leader of the Franky family.
Yeah.
Franky himself, who is a cyborg, which pretty much throws out all of my sense of what the current level of tech in this world
And is he meant to be based off of Ace Ventura?
He's charismatic and fun, but he stole all the
His
money.
character
and spent
design,
it all too,
isn't it?
which, when I
Someone was
honestly
saying
read
that in
at first,
one of the
a little part of me
live streams.
died inside. But what really got me was what happens next. Iceberg wakes up after being shot several times.
Yeah, they said like some in the front, some in the back. It's like, what?
Nico Robin apparently was responsible for the attempt on his life, and now they are all wanted by the city. Okay, so what? Usopp is now estranged. Robin is a cutthroat for some government organization. All the Straw Hats are
Oh my god, when you find out what's going on with Nico Robin. Ah!
Icing on the cake, a massive tidal surge is expected to hit the city tonight.
Yeah.
This current set of
There's a lot happening.
so incredible to read through. Tensions were high, and there was a mystery in the air. Why was Robin doing this? And furthermore, what I love is that despite all of these major story beats hitting hard, Oda doesn't just let Usopp be forgotten until he's
No, he's still going. He's still doing stuff, and he still comes in strong.
And Sanji covertly let Usopp know what's up regarding a massive tidal surge that's to be expected tonight without hurting his pride. There are so many little things like this that are being juggled in this arc that Oda not only keeps track of, but also delivers compelling scene after compelling scene with. He didn't need to have this scene with Sanji and Chopper. He could have just had Usopp make some random mention in the next scene that he appears in that he saw that the tide was changing, but he instead made a character choice. He asked himself, what would these characters do? Sanji and Chopper care deeply about him, and thus
I love Chopper, man.
look out for their friend. It not only adds context to why Usopp moves location later, but reinforces the entire theme of the story in that arc: friendship and loyalty. And really, that's been the theme from the very beginning. How much trust and loyalty should be honored, and how their dynamics mix together in volatile ways.
Definitely.
Should you trust your captain when he breaks what you perceive to be his loyalty to a ship? Should you rely on your crew when you're faced with a massive underworld government organization? Both Robin and Usopp have believable motivations guiding their choices in this arc, and it's so well done, I can't help but sit back and marvel. And in keeping with this theme of loyalty, it comes to our attention that Robin planned to pin this on them all along.
Yeah.
He trained them, using them pretty much as a scapegoat to allow her and the rest of the CP9 crew to infiltrate the building the next night, and boy, do they.
Oh my god, it's so sick. The whole like, I just start learning who everyone is and what's going on, and
to reconvene with the Straw Hats.
Even Franky's involved with the backstory of why they set there and that. Oh my god.
As it happens, the secretary and 3 of the town's famous shipwrights, including that really cool Assassin's Creed long square nose,
They're bad guys.
all part of CP9 the entire time.
The pigeon thing I thought was fun as well. He missed out, like, he acted like he couldn't talk. Pigeon did, and then he ends up being the leader. I thought that was cool.
It reminded me of the ensemble Doflamingo War. If you were to ask me before this reveal, I would have placed all of my bets on him being involved in some shape or form, but he's not. And it gets even better. With this guy here who had been up until this point using a bird to speak to him, it turns out that he can speak for himself and uses this as an advantage to try to take the blueprints off of Paulie. And on top of all of that, we finally start to get some answers surrounding the story of Nico Robin. The poneglyphs.
Right, you haven't even mentioned what the blueprints are, but okay.
After in the first place, it turns out it's a battleship.
There we go.
A massive weapon that wielded could bring about destruction on a worldwide scale. So, needless to say, it makes sense as to why he keeps those private, and I also really, really like the reasoning why just destroying them isn't an option for them either.
Yeah.
It's important to make sure that if something does rise up, the Pluton could be its equalizer.
The Pluton, that's the one.
The Pluton that Iceberg was in possession of are a wonderful little plot point in the background that I'm guessing will be an overarching plot thread for many more arcs to come. I'm also happy we finally got some information about Robin's backstory.
Holy crap, did we? Did we?
She's the last one and therefore the only one with the ability to read the poneglyphs, making her, in the eyes of the government, dangerous if she isn't working for them to bring the weapons.
Why she had a bounty at such a young age.
This is my first taste of proper large-scale world
She weren't
politics
actually
with a whole
able to
story, and it
mix in with anyone because they'd always try and screw her over and sell her out.
No longer is this a self-contained arc. No. This
No.
time it's concerning itself with all the information and breadcrumbs left behind over the last 3 sagas. This arc feels enormous, and this is all just built up. This whole Nico Robin situation is entirely set up to be the catch-22, the conflict of this arc, and it serves the purpose tremendously well. Acting in a similar fashion to Nami in the Arlong Park arc, Robin denounces her allegiance to the Straw Hats straight to their faces when confronted by them in the act. Once again, reinforcing the themes of loyalty and friendship by having Robin seemingly cast such things to the side. However, after they discover the blueprints to the ship have been hidden elsewhere, she is told to take her leave to the last train to Ennis Lobby before the enormous tide arrives at midnight. While this also adds a massive amount of tension to the occasion, as Ennis Lobby is a place of no return apparently, there's also
man, the build up to that is like way.
To add tension on top of tension, the CP9 agents, former shipwrights, take out both Zoro
Yeah,
and
they are nothing to be shrugged off, lad. They are something else.
flying across the city. But
Yeah, he launches him and then he gets stuck in between the buildings, doesn't he?
which was interesting to me. Ever since they revealed their true intentions, they have been quite literally unstoppable in terms of physicality, mastering certain techniques and practices that allow them to pretty much have the power of gods in their fingertips, which makes for some
they got the six
unsettling imagery.
body style or whatever it is.
Fight scene where Zoro, Nami, and Luffy all corner the
Yeah, they got the
shipwrights
finger
but
thing,
are
bam!
unable to do anything.
And they can harden their
The
skin.
shipwright pretty much transforms into a giant leopard, swatting away both Zoro and Luffy without so much as a second thought. And with Robin helping these guys, it's honestly an incredibly complicated situation to get a hold of. But wouldn't you know it, Oda has a reason for that too. As it happens, Robin isn't bad and doesn't feel uncaring towards them at all. In fact, she loves them. Her only condition on working for CP9 was that her friends would be spared. And spared, they were.
Yeah, because of the call that was put on the island. The main bad guy, like, threatened to put one on them.
Iceberg's confidant, the person he entrusted the Pluton blueprints to, was none other than...
Franky!
Yes, Franky.
I love this little reveal.
Robin boarding the train, the 2 best fighters out of commission, and the gang completely separated. It's times like this I not only reflect on the story and how it got here, but how much I love these damn characters. I mean, there's this spectacular scene where Franky is just chilling and reminiscing with Usopp about the merry-go. How the ship was staying together for them because it loved them, and how he needs to accept the fate of that ship too. Switching from an antagonistic force to a...
And doesn't he mention the bit that you were going on about, Mark, in the Skype arc, where like someone was fixing the merry-go?
Regaling Usopp with an explanation for the vision
Here we
he
go.
saw in the jungles of Skypia, that it was in fact the spirit of the ship struggling to stay together
Yeah.
for them because it
Sick.
really truly cared about them, which not only humanizes the ship but also allows us to be thankful towards Franky for sharing that information so kind-heartedly to Usopp,
Usopp,
who's
yeah.
struggling with it. Through this, we learn that Franky Franky is actually a really chill and honest, responsible guy. Obviously, the word honest is in quotations there. And what's more is that we get a fantastically compelling backstory for him, wherein we learn that he's the one that has the blueprints. He grew up under the man who made the seafaring train, and that guy was the one who made Goldie Roger.
Which is shit,
and
yeah.
what's more is that the antagonist from the government in that flashback that killed his father figure, Tom, is now behind the CP9 situation at Ennis Lobby.
And he wants revenge on Franky as well, because Franky made him, like, end up, like, that way.
Clashing with each other in natural ways. Well, it just keeps happening. The CP9 bust into their workshop and kidnap both Franky and Usopp, but not before sending the merry-go crashing to the sea.
No.
Which not only makes me want these guys to be eviscerated from existence, but now they're on the train with Robin. And what's more is that they're heading to a place called Ennis Lobby, where in addition to no one ever really returning from there alive, is also the place where Franky's father Tom was sent, and it's where Robin's being sent to also. I just love this story, that all converge right at the end, but not before leaving our heroes in dire straits. And it's moments like this that make me think, God, it's so difficult to choose a favorite among these characters. They're also perfectly realized and enjoyable.
Zoro and Sanji.
I think when I turned the page and realized that Sanji, all this time, had been waiting outside the train,
because he's going to get on there and help her.
I might have fallen in love with him.
He's sick. He's so sick.
It's still between him and Usopp, but I just adore Sanji. He's the perfect blend of flawed, cool, and he absolutely
the cool is
the plot forward
oozes
in ways
it.
few other characters do in this series.
And then the guy just opens the door, doesn't he? And then he's just like, okay.
Might be the best set piece idea in all of One Piece.
There we go.
So far.
Yeah.
It's straightforward to understand in that Sanji needs to make his way through the train cars to reach Robin, Usopp, and Franky. There's a clear goal for Luffy and the rest of the crew to pursue them in order to give Sanji backup. There's a built-in time limit as they are about to arrive at Ennis Lobby shortly. The gang is separated, the villains are together, and the motivations
We got a big gang of people now.
Save Usopp and save Franky before the blueprints fall into the wrong hands. And boy, was I rooting for Sanji during this.
Hell yes.
The setup is honestly great too, with each subsequent car in the train filled with more and more dangerous foes. But once Sanji reaches Usopp and Franky, who were held towards the back of the train where he initially hid, the strategies implemented are clever and satisfying to watch, with the majority of the bad guys lured to the back of the train before being cut loose.
Then like, see ya.
I love this isn't just because it's a clever plan on behalf of Sanji, it's that it also highlights why this particular action sequence is so interesting and fun in the first place, as Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Chopper, the Water 7 shipwrights, and the Franky family are following in another train.
All get together!
There's only one train track. It means that anything that is cut loose will eventually
They have to
be
face,
dealt with by
yeah.
Luffy and the gang as they chase after their friends. Honestly, it's an incredibly creative sequence, and the best part is still to come. You see, once Sanji saved Franky and Usopp, despite wanting to help out Robin after
Now, am I going to find out what his actual name is? Because I know it as Sniper King.
And so, instead of running away, he decided to disguise himself as Soge King.
Right, so that's the actual name then, because it's so cool, I love it.
With the English translation being Sniper King,
There we go.
I call him Soge King. I think
Yay!
it sort of comes out of nowhere in the story, but all the motivations of
It
the
is
story
boss. I love how he just keeps pretending and he just says to everyone, and then, oh,
want to face the team afterwards.
Luffy and Chopper fall for it as well, though.
What I found really subtle but great is that earlier in the train car fight, Sanji makes a passing remark about all the people he just took out only having costumes and masks on them and nothing else of value, which he says directly to Usopp. So not only does Usopp have the motivation to create this disguise in the first place, but he also knew where to get the materials for.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I kind of missed that little detail. That's
But it
class.
just shows the insane level this man operates on. And speaking of details, remember when I mentioned when Usopp left the crew after his fight with
Yeah.
Luffy that Oda took him out of the manga character breakdown Straw Hat group? Well, now he took out Usopp entirely and replaced him with Soge King,
cool.
which is hilarious. I just adore stuff like that, and it just reinforces the notion that this is a story that rewards you for paying attention to the little
details, yeah.
I've never been more satisfied as a reader as I have been while reading One Piece. At its core, Water 7, and I think One Piece works as well as it does because of the ridiculous detail and attention Oda has given to its world. Without
It is a lot. It is a lot, man.
Nearly as believable. And to me, the show's greatest strengths are its characters and how these characters bounce off the themes of a given arc. For instance, the motivations Usopp had to save the Merry-Go are the same motivations that Luffy has to save them. He is putting the lives of his crew at risk, braving treacherous waters, heading towards a place that certainly won't be a cakewalk, all to be there for his friends. And it's parallels like that that create this incredible feeling while reading. And by the time Franky and Sanji buy Usopp enough time to sit down and talk with Robin in the front car alone, it once again highlights the strength of this series. It doesn't need world-ending stakes to be captivating or fantastical. We just need to care about these wonderful characters, and when Usopp says, "Have faith in Luffy" to Robin, I honestly shed a tear. Because that line encompasses what this entire arc has been about. Usopp called Luffy's judgment into question, fought him over it, and now deeply regrets it.
Yeah, he feels bad.
And is trying to help her see reason. It's incredibly purposeful writing, and it's bloody fantastic. This series sucks you in and forms an incredible connection with you. You always want to know, are these characters going to be okay? And I think that's what makes this one of the best stories I've ever read through. And what's more is that it's brought me closer to so many wonderful new talented people in the community. Last week I held a competition to see who could draw the best avatar for me on YouTube and Twitter, and the standard was just ridiculous.
Class.
But by the end, this wonderful person
That's
won,
cool.
and now this will be my new Oda-style avatar while I cover the high seas of One Piece. But with that said, and with the train now closing
Enies Lobby
at Enies Lobby, I have sincerely no idea what to expect or what will happen. I adore the characters of Franky. I think he's incredibly distinct, and given the amount of backstory and detail this character has received, I would be very surprised if he didn't turn out to be the shipwright of the Straw Hats when all is said.
Well, yeah, that's how it goes, isn't it? I kind of got that spoiled because I got a poster up on the wall that I got with the mangas that has him on there. It's like, oh, okay.
But that'll do it for this video.
Oof.
As always, I've been Totally Not Mark. I'll see you all next week, and thank you so much for watching.
Enies Lobby. Enies Lobby. It is boss. I'm absolutely loving it. Like, Enies Lobby is incredible, and I can't wait to see what Totally Not Mark has to say next week. So like I said, I'm going to aim to have a review every reaction to Totally Not Mark's reviews every Monday. Stay consistent, because I want to be able to read it at my own pace. I don't want to have to rush through it whatsoever, because I was initially doing that, and I was just a bit like, oh, too much. So I've got to a point where I'm ahead, but I don't want to put too much on myself. I want to enjoy the story, so I ain't rushing it. So yeah, we'll find out what he thinks of Enies Lobby next week. And I would just like to say thank you to my patrons. Thank you very much for your support. If you want to have your name at the end of every video, link is in the description. $1 a month is all I ask to help out, and you will get your name at the end of every video that I upload to the channel. And thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys next time.